What if I told you that most of the problems drivers pay shops to fix, or the situations that leave them stranded, trace back to built-in features sitting unused inside the car they already own? Features that cost nothing to use and take seconds to learn, but that dealerships have zero financial incentive to ever bring up. These are 10 hidden car tricks your vehicle already has built in, and number 1 is going to change how you think about something you do every single time you fill up. Trick number 10, the hidden mechanical key inside your key fob. When your fob battery dies, the remote functions stop working, but the car still needs a way to let you in. Every modern fob with a plastic body has a small latch, button, or sliding release on its housing, usually on the back or the bottom edge, that reveals a physical metal key blade stored inside. That blade slides into a hidden lock cylinder in the driver's door handle, which on most vehicles sits behind a small plastic cover that pops off with a fingernail or a coin. The physical key opens the door with no battery, no app, and no locksmith billing $150 for a call that takes 8 minutes to resolve. Most drivers discover this feature while standing in a dark parking lot with a dead fob and a nearly dead phone, pressing the button 6 times and wondering why nothing is happening. Finding the release latch takes about 10 seconds once you know it is there. The right time to locate it on your own key is tonight, in the driveway, before you ever need it, because the one time you actually need it, you will not have time to search. And that one belongs at the top of this list because it is the one that matters most on the worst possible day. The next trick makes the air conditioning measurably more efficient from the first mile you drive. Trick number 9, the AC recirculation button. That button with the car icon and the circular arrow is one of the most consistently underused controls on any dashboard, and most dealership walkthroughs treat it as a throwaway detail. When the system pulls fresh air from outside the car, it also pulls in exhaust fumes, pollen, road dust, and whatever particulates are floating in the air around the vehicle at that moment. Switching to recirculation mode closes the outside intake and cycles the air already inside the cabin back through the system instead. The compressor then works with air that has already been partially cooled, which allows it to reach and hold the target temperature noticeably faster, with independent testing indicating efficiency improvements of up to 20% in extreme heat. Driving through heavy stop-and-go traffic, following a diesel truck on the highway, or passing through any area with heavy exhaust, that button also cuts off outside air entirely, blocking fumes and odors in a way that no filter or air freshener can replicate. One press accomplishes 2 things at once, and most drivers tap it once by accident, never understand what changed, and never deliberately use it again. That one covers both air quality and AC efficiency, and the dealer almost never explains it beyond pointing at it during the walk-around. The next trick can drop the temperature inside a parked car by 10 to 15 degrees before you ever open the door. Trick number 8, rolling down all 4 windows with the key fob. On most modern vehicles, holding the unlock button on your fob for 3 to 5 seconds will automatically roll down all 4 windows at the same time. Some vehicles require 2 quick presses of unlock, followed by holding the button down on the second press. What this accomplishes is flushing the trapped hot air out of a car that has been sitting in a summer parking lot. So by the time you walk across the lot and reach the handle, the interior is far closer to ambient temperature rather than the 130-degree heat that builds up inside a closed car in direct sun. The AC system starts with less residual heat to fight. The seats are tolerable without burning exposed skin, and the steering wheel does not need a cloth barrier for the first 5 minutes. Every manufacturer handles the sequence slightly differently, so if holding the unlock button does not trigger the windows on your vehicle, check the owner's manual under remote operation, because the feature is present on the vast majority of vehicles built in the last 15 years. That one also deals with the kind of detail a 10-minute dealership walkthrough glosses over in 30 seconds. The next one quietly leads to a several $100 shop visit for owners who never learned it. Trick number 7, the fuel cap holder inside the filler door. When you open the fuel filler door and pull the gas cap off, the cap needs somewhere to sit while the pump runs. Most drivers put it on the roof, the trunk lid, or set it on the ground where it collects grit, presses against the paint, or occasionally gets left behind entirely when the driver pulls away. The inside of the fuel filler door on most vehicles has a small hook or notch built specifically to hold the cap during fueling. Hanging the cap there keeps the seal surface clean, keeps debris out of the threads, and prevents it from sitting on the paint long enough to cause a scratch. A contaminated or worn gas cap seal causes the evaporative emission system to fail its own integrity test and lights up the check engine light, and clearing that fault at a shop typically runs $100 to $200 for a problem that traces back entirely to how the cap was handled at the pump. That hook has been molded into the filler door since the car was manufactured. If you have ever gotten a check engine light and paid a shop to clear it only to have it come back, drop a comment below and tell me about it, because I want to know how many people have paid for that exact fault. Hit that like button if any of these have been new information, and subscribe if you have not yet, because the next video covers the free reset tricks that clear 95% of warning lights without a single shop visit. Trick number 6, the steering wheel tilt and telescoping adjustment. Underneath the steering column on the left side, there is a lever or a button that unlocks the wheel so it can be moved up, down, closer to you, and farther away. Tilt adjusts the vertical angle, and telescoping adjusts the in and out distance. And while not every vehicle has both, most modern cars do. The reason this matters beyond simple comfort is airbag alignment, which almost no one thinks about at the time of purchase. An airbag deploys outward from the center of the wheel, and if that wheel is angled too high or positioned too far from the driver's chest, the deployment geometry changes in a way that affects how the bag performs at the exact moment it is needed. Setting the wheel correctly takes 30 seconds. The lever is directly under the column where anyone could find it, and most drivers never adjust it from the delivery day to the trade-in day. That one carries real safety weight, and it takes half a minute to fix permanently. The next one is something most drivers have never noticed, despite staring at it on every sunny afternoon drive. Trick number 5, the sun visor extension panel. Most sun visors flip down to block light from above, but there is a persistent gap between the visor's edge and the A-pillar, where direct afternoon sun comes through at eye level and hits the driver directly in the face. On most vehicles, that visor has a secondary panel that slides out horizontally to cover exactly that gap. It has been sitting flush against the main visor body the entire time the car has been owned, and it pulls out with a single tug along the outer edge. Drivers squint through that same gap for the entire ownership period without knowing the manufacturer already engineered the fix into the car. Pull the visor down, find the secondary panel along the outer edge, and slide it toward the A-pillar. The panel locks into position and stays there without being held, which means both hands stay on the wheel while the sun is blocked. Some vehicles have this extension on the passenger side as well, which matters more than people realize during early morning drives when the low sun angle comes directly through the right side of the windshield. Worth checking both sides the next time you are parked. The extension also handles the low winter sun angle that hits the windshield at a flatter trajectory than in summer, leaving a wide glare strip that the main visor body alone cannot reach. Drivers who rely on sunglasses alone for that strip are usually unaware the mechanical solution is already built into the car. That one surprises people every time. The next trick has kept drivers out of ditches and out of tow truck calls. Trick number 4, disabling traction control when you are stuck. The traction control system works by detecting wheel spin and cutting engine power to stop the tire from breaking loose on a slick surface. On a wet road or a slick corner, that behavior is exactly what you want. But if your front wheel is buried in 6 inches of snow or sunk into soft mud, cutting engine power is the last thing that helps, because the wheel needs to spin freely to dig through the loose surface and find traction underneath it. Holding the traction control button for 3 to 5 seconds disables the system completely and lets the wheels work the way the situation actually demands. Once the car breaks free and starts moving, a single press re-engages everything. Drivers who do not know this trick sit in parking lots calling tow trucks that run $150 to $200 for a situation that a 10-second button hold would have cleared in under a minute. One thing worth knowing is that some vehicles also have a separate stability control system that operates independently of traction control, and those two systems handle different things. Traction control manages wheel spin at the drive axle. Stability control manages the direction the whole vehicle is traveling. On most cars, a long hold of the same button disables both, but some SUVs and trucks have separate controls for each. If your vehicle has a dedicated 4-wheel drive selector, engaging low range automatically limits how aggressively traction control intervenes anyway, which is why trucks with a true low range setting tend to handle deep mud and sand better than front-wheel drive cars, even without pressing anything. That kind of thing, dealers pray you never figure out on your own. The next one deals with something most drivers fight through every single commute without realizing there is a permanent fix. Trick number 3, turning off lane departure warnings for good. The lane departure system detects the white lines on either side of your lane and vibrates the steering wheel or sounds an alert every time you drift even slightly. On an open highway, that feature earns its place. On a winding back road, a construction zone, or any stretch of pavement with faded or inconsistent markings, it becomes a noise machine that fires every 30 seconds on roads where the system can barely see the lines. Most drivers tolerate this for years, without realizing there is usually a dedicated button on the steering wheel, marked with a small car icon between two dotted lines, or a setting inside the infotainment menu that turns it off completely and keeps it off. One press or one menu selection, done for good until you decide you want it back. What most owners never think to check is whether the lane departure setting resets every time the car is turned off. On some vehicles, particularly several Toyota and Honda models from the last 5 years, the system resets to the active position at every ignition cycle, regardless of what you selected the previous drive. On those cars, turning it off through the infotainment settings rather than the steering wheel button creates a persistent preference that survives the restart. If you have disabled it before and it keeps coming back on, the fix is deeper in the menu than the button, and it takes about 45 seconds to find the first time. That one is a quality of life fix most people have been waiting years for. The next two are the simplest on the list, and the last one is something every driver in America has needed at least once without knowing the answer was already on their dashboard. Trick number 2, the hazard light double tap. Most drivers know the hazard button as the red triangle that switches on all 4 turn signals at once. What almost nobody knows is that on certain vehicles, particularly several European makes and a growing number of domestic models, a quick double tap of that same button activates a separate emergency flash pattern that pulses faster and more intensely than the standard hazard mode. Some vehicles also respond to holding the button down for 2 seconds, which triggers a panic flash mode designed for dense fog or extreme low visibility conditions on dark rural highways. The standard 4-way flash is slow enough that at highway speeds in a whiteout or heavy rain, vehicles behind you may not register it quickly enough. The enhanced pattern, where the vehicle supports it, pulses at a rate that cuts through fog and precipitation at a significantly shorter recognition distance. Worth testing in your own driveway to see what your specific vehicle does, because the behavior varies considerably between makes and model years, and most owners have never pressed that button twice in a row in their lives. Trick number 1, the fuel gauge arrow. Every driver has pulled into a gas station in a rental car and had to circle the pump or open the door to figure out which side the fuel door is on. The fuel gauge on your dashboard has a small arrow sitting right next to the fuel pump icon, and that arrow points directly toward the side of the car where the fuel door is located. It is on every modern vehicle. It has been there for decades, and the standard dealership walkthrough almost never mentions it. On a rental car, it saves an embarrassing loop around the pump island. On your own car, it is just one of those things you wish someone had mentioned at the lot when you signed the paperwork. The arrow is small and easy to miss if you have never been told to look for it, but once you know it is there, you will catch yourself checking it on every unfamiliar vehicle you get into for the rest of your driving life. Rental car counters never mention it either, which means this single dashboard detail has sent more drivers circling pump islands than any other overlooked feature in modern automotive design. It is there, it works, and it has been sitting on your dash the whole time. What most people do not know is that this convention was not always standardized. Older vehicles from the 1980s and early 1990s frequently had no arrow at all, and drivers back then genuinely had no choice but to memorize the fuel door side or look at the car from outside. The arrow became a widespread industry practice as fuel door placement varied more and more between platforms, and automakers needed a way to communicate it without adding extra signage. By the mid-2000s, it had become common enough that most drivers could reasonably expect to find it on any vehicle they stepped into. That standardization is part of why rental fleets and corporate vehicles adopted the habit of skipping the explanation entirely, because somebody decided that the arrow made the question self-answering without anyone needing to say a word about it. There is also a secondary indicator on most vehicles that almost nobody notices, which is the direction the fuel pump nozzle hose faces on the fuel icon itself. On the small pump graphic next to the gauge, the hose attached to the pump points either left or right, and on the majority of vehicles that hose points toward the same side as the fuel door. The arrow is the more reliable of the two signals, but the hose direction gives you a cross-check when the arrow is small enough to be hard to read at a glance. Between the two, there is no vehicle built in the last 20 years that should ever leave a driver guessing at the pump, which makes it worth spending 30 seconds finding both indicators on every new vehicle before ever leaving the lot. One more thing that connects to this. Most vehicles also have a fuel door release lever or button inside the cabin, usually on the floor to the left of the driver's seat or on the lower door panel. and that release is separate from the lock on the fuel door itself. On some vehicles, particularly certain Honda and Toyota models, the fuel door is spring-loaded and pops open when the release is pressed with no lever to push from outside. On others, the door swings open freely once unlocked and has to be pulled out manually. Knowing which system your car uses before your first roadside fill-up in the dark is the kind of small detail that takes 10 seconds to check in daylight, and a frustrating 2 minutes to figure out when the car is sitting on an empty tank at night. Tell me in the comments which one you already knew, and which one caught you completely off guard. Some of these car tips should help you a lot going forward. So that being said, subscribe for more videos like this, and I hope to see you next time.